White people voted for this democracy.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't, Sissy. No, they didn't.
Yes.
A handful. Did you vote ANC in 1994?
I'm not talking about the ANC. Please listen. In 1992, white people had a referendum to decide whether they're going to allow the vote. And we gave the vote because we thought that what was happening was
wrong. It wasn't yours to give. Do you acknowledge that? It was not your country to take in the first place. But we acknowledge the fact that you are here.
We're not going to become free because we are better. We are oppressed even in our working place. Our employers don't recognize us. We raise the children. Yeah. But you find that at the end, you dismiss, you are stealing, my pant is missing, my sugar is missing.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren
and I'm Maureen. So guys, you know, one thing I usually like about our channel is when we do videos from, you know, years back about debates between palm colored people and black people, because it's in these videos that palm colored people usually get to hear what they did to black people and hear how it impacted black people. Right. In these videos, such kind of people, the palm colored people, when they attend these debates, they don't have anywhere to hide their faces, they don't have a door where they can run to, or they don't have an excuse of saying, I am not the one who personally inflicted pain in you. It was either my grandfather or it was either the military system, but I had no hand in it. Right. Just because you had no hand in it, what did you do about it to remedy the situation?
Right. Gone are the days where palm-colored people would choose to turn their heads away or close their eyes to the impacts that colonization or apartheid had on melanated people, right?
Right.
And in this video, what I love about it is we get to see a debate where, right, people from South Africa, of course, a mixed crowd of palm-colored people, melanated people,
and the in-betweeners, the biracials.
Right. Get to talk about, and guys, mark you, there are few people who lived during the apartheid in this crowd.
Yeah.
But there's a good number who are born after. But why is it that if this is not important and melanated people should forget about what happened to them, right? So, because, you know, palm-colored people, you know, we're not the ones who did this to you, so you should forget. We are not the ones who to blame, so we should forget. We are not exactly benefiting from that. They lived during those days, so you melanated people should forget, right? But why is it that in this crowd, melanated people who are even those who are born after apartheid, right?
They all, when they speak, you see the importance of them not forgetting.
Right. And how, importantly, Maureen, how apartheid and post-colonial activities has affected them or impacted them as the melanated community of South Africa.
Yeah, so let's watch this video and then we come back and talk about it. You can also leave us your comment on what you think about this episode. Let's watch.
We acknowledge that you are here. I think it's about owning the truth of your own story with all of its complexity. So for me, as an educated middle-class woman, I know that when I walk into spaces, I carry a certain currency that is not carried by my brother who can't pee in a toilet that I peed in when I went to Wits.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
But at the same time, I also acknowledge that when I do walk into spaces, for example, going into very poor, disenfranchised communities, I also have to acknowledge that the dysfunction that I see that exists in those communities is part of my historical baggage. I carry it within me. It's in my family, it's in my heart, it's in my choices. And what is worrisome is seeing people who own so much power in terms of land, in terms of resources, in terms of people you employ, in terms of the language that you've taken from these people and used to create a nation. You own so much power, but do you concede that? Do you acknowledge that? Do you own that? If you owned a little bit of that, it would be easy to come to the table with you. It would be easy to acknowledge death is death, pain is pain. I mean, there were 350 years of conscription in this country. It's only one generation of white men who didn't go into the military. How much pain exists in white families? I'd be willing to hear that more than I'm willing to hear that your pain is your pain only, because everybody in this room is carrying pain.
But I don't believe the debate from our side. 20 years into this democracy, the debate from our side has never been to negate your pain, nor has it ever been about saying that we want back to where we came from. Is it your country?
It's all of our countries, but acknowledge it's all of ours. It's all of ours. It's all of ours. It's all of ours.
It's my country.
That's fine.
It's not yours. It's not yours.
This is not the place. This is not the place. Sir?
It's my country.
Yes, sir. This is not the place.
It's everyone's country.
People wearing this beret are saying we don't belong here.
Okay, no one can hear you at this point, so I'd like to actually have a conversation, and I'll ask for tolerance in this room, please. Tolerance. All right, Sinet?
What I'm saying is that I don't think the problem is with people on the ground, even the people sitting here. People who govern and politicians are determining the success of what is happening on the ground. We have rhetoric where people go on stages and say the colonists must go and we stole the land and we stole the mines. The Brits took the mines. Buddha never had mines. And we can't keep on having that rhetoric and move forward. Every time I switch on a television or I put on a radio and Julius Malema says that we don't belong here, and what is happening? It's a problem. You cannot preach reconciliation to one segment of the country and preach empowerment to the other segment.
All right. There's a vast difference between, and I agree with you, there's a vast difference between rhetoric that's used to manipulate the population and sway people and the truth. Ne? And I would be interested in hearing how white people process the emotional baggage of what their ancestors did. I would be interested in trying to understand what it did to white families. How much silence did white people have to cope with? How did white people build a shield around themselves to be able to deal with the system in which whiteness operated all these years? That's an emotional conversation. That's a delicate conversation. I'd be willing to do the work of trying to unravel that, because right now as a black person, I'm trying to do the work of unraveling my own baggage, my own historical baggage. I think when white people start to do that work, then we'll start to begin the project of trying to understand how all of us belong to this place. But you can't erase history. We can't pretend the violence didn't happen. We can't pretend colonialism didn't happen. We can't pretend people weren't slaves. We can't pretend our people are not poor. It happened. It happened. I'd be willing to hear white people say, you know what, it was Kak trying to pretend that this situation was normal. But I'm not hearing white people do that work.
All right. What would that be?
All right. When we return, a poetic moment. Don't go away. Africa is a fractured mirror, a paradox of schizophrenic selves who don't talk to one another, who coexist together but don't live with each other. And this is the time when you can become the greatest substance of your dreams, unless you live in a shack and don't speak English and don't know what this poem means. Tell me how it's possible for people who walk on gold to not know how to read. South Africa is an old-fashioned mutt who knows how to sing and knows even better how to cuss, who knows how to pray when she's about to run out of luck, who knows how to laugh really hard when the tears have run her into a rut, who knows that race is a farce because when the lights are off, everybody's There's a lot of anger, there's a lot of, I don't hear hope yet. I don't know about you, but I don't hear hope yet.
I hear it. I hear it. Just us being here, having this conversation together, getting to a space that we need to get to as a nation. It will take a very long time. It's not child's work. For me to sit and listen to Sunette, listen to Pierre, listen to Sisonke and to Lebu, and hear the various voices and digest the message that comes from them. I feel pained. I feel their pain. But at the same time, I feel there's hope because we're talking about it. We put a plaster on a gunshot wound in this country. That's what we did. And that needs to stop. We need to talk to each other and then come to a space of understanding.
Because you're with the EFF.
Yes, I am with the EFF.
Explain that to me.
Well, I explained in a simple fashion that in this country we've got more than 70% of the nation that's living in utter poverty. And if you go into the townships and especially in the squatter camps and you see how our children are living, we're talking about kids. We're not talking about black, white, color. We're talking about kids. So when I look at economic freedom fighters, we are looking at changes this country to bring it into a social system where there will be no class, where the state can take control and we can live in a society where everybody can be brought up to the same level. The thing of the Rainbow Nation that did not work, reconciliation can only work if we both reconcile. You cannot have Nelson Mandela giving forgiveness for a racist group of people that oppressed black people in the apartheid era and say, let us forgive them. They don't come forward and say, yes, we accept your forgiveness, let's reconcile with each other. They don't do that. We still have people in the audience here. We still have people in the audience here, like a gentleman there when she was talking about the black people being more educated and can actually contest for a position. I had a comment say, yeah, let's kill them. It's those comments that makes people to be killed on farms also. Because when you undermine a black person in this country longer, they are going to kill you.
I'm Myrtle Wetboy and I'm from the South African Domestic Workers Union. It's not about color. It's not about whether I'm a colored. It's whether I'm a human being. And I think we need to do that. Do you know the pain of a domestic worker? Do you know what it is to be isolated in the backyard of employers? To sit there when the employer go out with their beautiful cars and I remain in the backyard. I was there in the apartheid years. But one man came out and he forgave. And that time, when I was in the struggle, I did not say I was a colored. I did not say Mandela is black. We were fighting for freedom. That is what we were doing. I did not classify myself as a colored. And when Comrade Mandela came out, he said there's black and there's white. And since that day I walked that path. I am black. And I am proud of it. If we want to free ourselves, we must free ourselves from this color thing. We're not going to become free because we are bitter.
We are oppressed even in our working place. Our employers don't recognize us. We raise the children. But you find that at the end, you dismiss, you are stealing, my pant is missing, my sugar is missing.
Welcome back. Let us know what you think about that video. I feel like this is a very good, but guys, before we continue, let me just ask, okay, the main important question of the day. Do you think, if South Africans you're watching us, please let us know, okay? Do you think reconciliation will ever work in South Africa? Because this is a debate of I think it's 7 years ago, and I feel like South Africans are still in the same place, if not worse. So question is, do you think reconciliation between melanated people and palm-colored people in South Africa will ever work?
As for me, I usually think that, of course, anything can be forgiven, not forgotten, but forgiven, so long as the perpetrator or the person who wronged you genuinely comes before you and tells you, points out whatever they did to you, acknowledges it, takes accountability for it, and hence asks for your forgiveness afterwards.
Yeah,
that is the only way reconciliation can work in South Africa. Plus, they should fix whatever systems they put in South Africa to hinder growth for the black community by putting fair systems.
Yeah, you know, if personally I were to answer this question, and this is my own personal opinion, I would say, forgive me guys for saying this, but it's my own opinion, right? I don't think reconciliation will ever work in South Africa, just simply because South Africa is an African country in an African continent, and for as long as you have farmers who unalive black people, melanated people in South Africa and feed them to their pigs, that is one hindrance towards reconciliation in South Africa. For as long as there are palm colored who burn down black-owned business in South Africa, that is a hindrance to the South African community.
For as long as these same palm colored people are somewhere in the Western Cape, trying to erect boundaries so that they can create their own country within South Africa, these are some of the many issues that will always,
hinder reconciliation.
Yeah.
And then for as long as you will always find a farmer who pew-pews a melanated person in his farm. There was a day I saw on TikTok of a story about a young boy. I don't know if he was 9
about
years
6
old.
or 9 years old. I'm not sure.
Thereabout. This kid went into a white farmer's farm
and he picked an orange.
For wanting to pick an orange, that's considered theft in the palm colored's eyes. For an orange, he paid with his legs because he was run down by the white farmer for picking an orange in his farm.
Now both his legs are lost.
Yeah, he can't. Someone who was born in a healthy way with 2 functional legs cannot walk, and this is just a child, still has a whole life ahead of him, cannot walk because of this. So my opinion is, for as long as the oppressor still keeps on exhibiting behaviors of the apartheid era, for as long as they still exhibit the colonial behaviors in their DNA, I don't see reconciliation really working. And for as long as the black community in South Africa will still feel like it's because of the palm-colored people that there's some things that are disadvantaged in a way.
Yeah, because I also heard of a thing whereby if a palm-colored person owns apartment complexes in South Africa, there are some neighborhoods where this palm-colored person will not rent to melanated people. They'll even lie to the melanated people that there is no vacancy available. But if this melanated person uses a white friend to call the apartment complex, it is a true story, it happened. The person will be given an appointment of when to come and check out the apartment, yet the black person has been told there is no space here for you.
And that is a black country in Africa. So guys, for as long as we still have Orania where they feel like they can't use integrate to a point where they have their own currency.
Of which I do understand, yeah, they justify it as the whole of South Africa in general, the government is
corrupt and
chaotic. That's why they've decided to come up with their own system, which seems to be working for them. I don't know. South Africa is a complicated country, in short.
Right.
Very complicated. But we hope that things will get better down there, because it's shows like this that talk about important issues like those that will help South African citizens at least reach a common ground where they can live with each other in a civil manner.
Yeah, and then guys, there's another thing I noticed where the palm-colored lady in pink, she was really, really defensive. And my question is, if it's like you don't want to hear how your people's actions have impacted someone else, and when the melanated South Africa was trying to explain this to her, she really got defensive, and it's like she didn't want to hear it. And my question is, why is it that palm-colored people can never just choose to sit down and for once just listen to the words that they're being told, and for the same reason this happens is the same reason why when you go to America or any other palm-colored dominated countries, it's why they don't teach their kids the true history
of what they did to the countries they colonized, or the countries where there was slavery, and mostly because of their ancestors.
Right. This, I feel like if they did teach the truth about the historical happenings, they wouldn't be sitting in someone else's country and talk about how that is their land, that is their property, that is their everything, it wouldn't be happening. Anyway guys, let us know what you think about this episode. That was quite too hot to handle. That was a debate too hot to handle, but let us know what you think about this episode, and
we'll see you on our next episode.